Well, hello everyone and welcome. My name is Celia Nolan with Voter Choice Massachusetts, and tonight I'm seeing so many people stream in. This is unbelievable. So thank you so much for joining us. This is the 2025 Grassroots Kickoff for Voter Choice Massachusetts. You're going to hear from some incredible people in so many organizations. We've got wonderful partnerships in Massachusetts working on ranked choice voting. There's been a lot happening in the last few years. You may not have heard of all the action that's been happening, but there's a lot of news, there's a lot coming, there's a lot for all of us to do. And I really do want to thank you for being here at this meeting. You probably got an email or a text from us or an invitation from someone. And I would bet that those are not the only emails and texts and invitations to meetings that you are receiving right now. There are a lot of things we can work on. A lot of them are, you know, directly, obviously personal and pressing right now. And so I want to thank you for being here part of this because what we're doing is setting the groundwork for better governance, better representation, and empowered voters in the future. So it's also pressing for us to start that as soon as possible too, right? So thank you all for being in this with us. And we're going to hear from some incredible people now. I just want to give a lot of shout outs and invite these folks to say a few words about, you know, what are you excited about the most for the Mass RCV movement right now? And don't worry, later in the meeting, we'll all have a chance to talk together too. But first, I'd like to thank Cheryl Clyburn Crawford for being here, Executive Director of MassVOTE, Vice President of NAACP Boston. Cheryl, do you have some words for us?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm really super excited to join this coalition and to just have an opportunity to look at you and see who's in the movement with us, because this is truly about building a strong coalition and that's how we got it done in Boston, right? Thank you, Ed and his amazing team that's been really carrying the ball and moving us down the line. Thanks to the other coordinators, Tanisha, Sullivan, and Rahsaan Hall for being in it and what they bring, the lens that they bring to this work. All of us have been doing this work. This is necessary work. The timing is absolutely perfect with all the wins that they're going to go over shortly with you. I'd say we're on the right track, doing the right things, looking at continuing to build this coalition statewide, continuing to recruit our community partners, doing all the things that really help us to educate and empower the community about what's at stake, why it's necessary for us to do it right now and get the job done while we have the momentum. No time for despair, no time for anything but moving forward. And I think we have the perfect formula for it. We've tried it. We're moving it through Boston. You've got the right teammates. You've got the right leadership. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here and look forward to being on the ground with you all to getting the work done. So thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to just working with you.
Thank you, Cheryl. And you mentioned Tanisha. Tanisha Sullivan's with us too, president of the NAACP New England Area Conference. Tanisha, I know you're on the go. Can you give us a few words?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It is good to be with you all tonight. I'm scrolling through all 75 plus of us on the line tonight, and it's good to see so many friends. So many of you who I love and adore. I'm not going to start calling names because then I'll probably miss someone. But I do. Yes, I was actually, Dave, since you said it, hey Dave, good to see you. I want to also, of course, lift up Ed and the entire team here in Boston for just doing just a tremendous job, and really the commitment that the team has. I also want to, of course, I think I see Councilor Mejia on the line as well. I want to thank you, Councilor, for your stewardship and always keeping very center our democracy and really looking for ways to ensure, consistently looking for ways to ensure that it's working for all of us. So thank you. Thank you for your service, Councilor. You know, I cannot think of another movement in this moment. There are many issues from a democracy standpoint that that so many of us advocate around. You know, we're still in the hunt for same day voter registration. We're going to stay in that hunt. But when we talk about movements that are exciting and taking hold both here in the Commonwealth and across the country, ranked choice voting is one of those. Everywhere I go, in my travels, people want to talk about RCV and sometimes debate RCV. But most importantly, at the core of all of those conversations is a deep interest in and desire to ensure that our democracy is working for all of us, and to ensure that we have the opportunity to elect the people who we believe will represent us the best. And RCV certainly does present that opportunity. And so I want to thank each of you tonight for your interest in, your commitment to, and your willingness to advance this movement across the Commonwealth. I'm hearing a lot, you know, I get the question a lot around what can I do in this moment when our nation is certainly turned upside down. Every day the hits keep coming. It's really hard to keep our center and to stay grounded. But people across the Commonwealth keep asking the question, what can I do? And there's hope in that question, because it means that that all of us are still true believers. And so as it relates specifically to RCV, what can I do? The answer to that is ensure that you are speaking to as many people about RCV. If you're able to, raise your hand to help lead groups and teams on the ground in the communities where we're activating. Stay connected. Keep championing RCV. As we move through the various municipalities, of course, we know ultimately we've got to make our way to the State House. And so I want to encourage you that regardless of where you are across the Commonwealth, sharing this message, sharing the gospel of RCV with as many people as possible will be a tremendous help to us as we work to get this across the finish line at the state level. So thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your interest. And most importantly, thank you for being on the front line in this fight for our democracy, and for never giving up or giving in to any effort that seeks to take it away, steal it away from any of us. Thank you. And I'm in the fight.
Thank you. And you did mention Councilor Julia Mejia is with us. The spotlight is certainly on Boston. Can you give us some of your perspective, please? And other folks, please stay on mute.
Sorry, guys. Did I hear my? So I'm City Councilor at Large Julia Mejia. I'm actually out in these streets trying to collect signatures. But when Ed calls and he lets me know that Tanisha's going to be in the building and a whole bunch of my other favorites, I'm like, I'm a do double duty. I'm a show up and show out. I'm so excited to be here with you all this evening. Thank you, Ed, and the entire team for all of your hard work and dedication. For those who may not know, I have a little entourage with me today because this is what democracy looks like. In 2021, my office worked day and night on the statewide initiative for ranked choice voting. So you had me at hello then. Cheryl, you were paving the pavement, really trying to get people out. And I'm happy to say that Boston delivered. We were one of the highest turnouts in the entire state in terms of voter engagement and enthusiasm for ranked choice voting. So it's needless to say that I joined my council colleagues, Councilor President Louis-Jean and Councilor Santana, as a co-sponsor to lead ranked choice voting, the home rule petition through the city. And so, if anybody knows anything about me, I've graduated from being a little Chihuahua to a pit bull. And I'm here to let everybody know that this is one of the issues that I'm going really hard for, because as someone who won by one vote, I understand the importance of representation. Since I've been in office, we've already managed to pass 15 pieces of legislation, which goes to show that when you give people an opportunity to get on the ballot and to have you be seen as someone that has potential, and people get out to vote because they believe in you, that changes the game. And I'm here to say that I drank the Kool-Aid, y'all. I'm here for it and all day. And so I'm so super excited to see you all joining this coalition and helping to support and getting us to the finish line. Because once we get it to the State House, we're going to need you all to make those phone calls. We're going to need to apply that pressure, because what we're not going to do is allow this to die in the State House, because we know home rule petitions, where do they go? We go to a funeral when they get to the State House. So y'all going to make sure that that does not happen to this particular bill that we're going to be sending over. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for just your steadfast commitment to democracy. Tanisha, when she and we've been friends for a long time. And so for me, this work around democracy is about racial justice. It's about liberation. It is about restorative justice. And it's about time that Boston has ranked choice voting. And I'm here for all of it. I'm going to go back to door knocking, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing, y'all, is handling my business so I can continue to keep my seat in the city of Boston. And I just wanted to say thank you, Ed, and the entire coalition, for giving me the opportunity to be with you all in community tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We did not plan this, folks, but this is inspiring. Seeing like we got to be on the go, we got to be doing things. I love this energy. We're going to keep it going because Rahsaan Hall is with us, also President and CEO of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. Rahsaan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Celia. Good night, good evening, everyone. This is pretty exciting. I didn't really know what to expect. I should have known better, though, because when Celia's involved, things come together. It was an honor for me to be asked to be a co-chair of Ranked Choice Boston with Cheryl and Tanisha, my sisters in the struggle. We've been doing this work for longer than I would like to say. We started when we were kids. But this is a really important moment. It wasn't too long ago that there was this massive rally on the Boston Commons and Boston City Hall, and I had the fortune of being one of the co-MCs of it. And the thing that just struck me looking out on that sea of people who were gathered in the rain was to say, welcome to the resistance. Right, when this is a moment in our nation's history where oppression is at a fever pitch and our rights are under attack, it is people coming together and pushing forward the ideals of democracy and integrity in democracy and representation in democracy as a sign of resistance. The fact that we are not balled up in our beds, hiding our heads, but that we're showing up in person and on Zooms to find out the ways that we can be engaged and the initiatives that will increase access to the democratic process. And so that's what this is. This is the resistance movement. It was exciting to see what has happened in Boston. And, look at scripture, to be that light to the world. A city on the hill cannot be hidden. And so to a certain degree, that's what Boston is. But more importantly, that's what we're wanting Massachusetts to be. We've got to be the exemplar, the model of how we increase access to the process to make democracy work better for everyone. And for as much as there is saber rattling and fear mongering about expanding access will lead to unjust outcomes, the reality is doing the opposite will lead to more disenfranchisement. And so we're really excited. There's some strong energy. It's a broad coalition of organizations. There's a lot of momentum, these strong partnerships, Rank the Vote, Voter Choice Massachusetts, Partners in Democracy. Like we're rolling deep, and that matters. And the strategy of looking at different municipalities and having representation in different municipalities, by the time you look up, you will have a significant population of the entire Commonwealth. If you take, 150 some odd thousand from Springfield, and 600,000 from Boston, and 61,000 from Waltham, and 40,000 from Leominster, and you get a 30,000 or some from Falmouth, and a 25, 28 from Agawam. Then you're starting to look at the entire Commonwealth to say these people really want ranked choice voting. And so that's what the beauty of having everybody here is we are the evangelists of the gospel of open democratic processes through ranked choice voting. So thank you, everybody, for showing up, for being a part of the resistance, and let's continue to do this great work. Shout out to Ed Shoemaker, who really did a great job leading the charge in Boston, and there are a lot more Eds out there as well who are going to have to lead the charge in your own local communities as well.
Thank you, Rahsaan. And I'm also thrilled to welcome Celia Canavan, who's the Executive Director of the League of Women Voters of Massachusetts. I'm delighted to serve on the board with Celia. You are not seeing double. There are two of us. And Celia, I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you, Celia. Good to be here with you again. Hopefully people aren't too confused by the double vision. Also great to be here tonight with many of our coalition partners at the League. Shout out Cheryl, Marisol, Rahsaan, and everyone that we work with. It's such an honor to be in this fight with you. Ranked choice voting is something that speaks very true to my heart. I conveniently moved out of Massachusetts for a little bit right when I turned 18, and the first couple of years of my voting years were ranked choice voting. I will tell you right now, unlike what people want you to know, it was easy, it was fun, and it was so important to the work that we did. I had friends who got elected to local committees because there was ranked choice voting. By 5 votes, y'all, all it takes is 5 votes in those local rural communities that need that help. We know RCV is so much more than just voting reform. It is access to your voice. It's access to these things that are so necessary. And where RCV goes, continued voting protections follows. We know same-day registration is a fight that we've been fighting here in Massachusetts for over 10 years, 15 years. We know that we'll continue to do this fight. I was thrilled to see Boston at the forefront of this past year. I, when moving back to Massachusetts, saw ranked choice Boston right there and felt a little bit more hope about my ballot for the future. So thank you, Ed. Thank you, team who worked on that. We know this work is important. We know that voting rights has been a fight that's been fought for over 100 years here in the Commonwealth and beyond. The League of Women Voters has been here throughout it all, 105 years strong, and we're continuing that fight. We want to be there, whether it's your home rule petition or when we're finally at that state house, we will be on the front lines with you. We want to see your vote matter. We want to see more people being elected, younger people being elected, diverse voices being elected. And when we implement opportunities like ranked choice voting, when we give people that access, we have these opportunities, people move forward, and we have not only a healthier democracy, but a thriving democracy, a democracy where everyone is involved, everyone feels welcome, and maybe, just maybe, we might start to get back some of the things we're losing right now. So thank you all so much for being here. This is why we're here. This democracy work could not happen without the people behind the vote. So thank you all for being part of this fight, and I look forward to being with you till the very end.
Thank you so much. How lucky are we that we have these heavy hitters in the fight with us, fighting our good cause. I also want to acknowledge some other important people here who will be working to support our program tonight. So we'll hear from them later. Vanessa Snow, Executive Director of Mass Alliance, Marisol Santiago, Director of Policy and Organizing at MassVOTE, and John Griffin, Managing Partner for Strategy at Partners in Democracy. So I know we're virtual, but let's have some kind of round of applause, make some moves, see those reactions. Thank you all for being here. Takes all of us. All right, now that we're riled up, let's talk some strategy. How are we going to do this? So Ed Shoemaker is the Executive Director of Voter Choice Massachusetts and Ranked Choice Boston. Ed, take it away. What are we going to do here?
All right. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on the call and being with us here tonight. It's really excited for all the energy that we have here in the room. Um, let's go. So this is our plan to blow up the Death Star of pick one voting and bring inclusive, competitive elections to Massachusetts. And it's simple, it's logical, and it's grounded in 7 years of work. A statewide ballot measure, 9 home rule petition campaigns, and consistent public polling. So here's the strategy. We're going to win in cities and towns across the state. That builds the grassroots foundation that we need to win statewide, to get ranked choice voting across the state. So we need to pass more home rule petitions, so local communities can actually implement ranked choice voting and get familiarity with using ranked choice voting. And every home rule petition that gets passed is a domino in the chain. And when Boston passes ranked choice voting, it'll open the door to move ranked choice voting across the Commonwealth a lot quicker. So right now we have passed 20 municipalities. We've passed home rule petitions, or we're in progress to passing some. So that gives us a lot of hope. And once ranked choice voting takes hold in these places for a cycle or two, we'll be able to be in a stronger position to win statewide. So that'll give us more momentum. So what do we need to do together? Essentially, we got clear measurable goals that we want to hit by June 2027. So part of that is to get 30 total local home rule petitions submitted to the state legislature by June 2027. And the second SMART goal will have something to do with endorsements. In our 2020 campaign, we earned the support of 90 out of 200 legislators at the state house, because you got 160 at the state house and then 40 state senators. We got 90 out of 200. Currently, we're working with Partners in Democracy and getting feedback on what the new goal should be. So we'll be in touch with what that goal is when we get that. But that's the path, and that's how we win. So essentially, now we want to hear from you folks. Raise your hand if you believe ranked choice voting is needed in Massachusetts. Just a quick show of hands. I'd say that's a majority. Now raise your hand if you think that this plan sounds doable. Okay. And keep your hand up if we can count on you to make it happen. All right, all right, all right. I'd love to see the solidarity in the room tonight. And I'm going to hand it over to Nathan, who will walk us through tonight's agenda. And thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks so much, Ed. Nathan Lockwood, longtime volunteer leader at Voter Choice Massachusetts, and also co-founder of Rank the Vote. And shout out to fellow Rank the Vote co-founder Billy Jackson, who I have not seen in a while. He's got 2 young kids, and it's great to see him because he was real important to the work that Voter Choice Massachusetts did for many years. And I know he'll be a great weapon for us going forward. All right, so we got an exciting remainder of the agenda here, building off that strategy that Ed just laid out for us. A little story about myself first. Most stories about me are not particularly interesting. This one is pretty relevant. So my kids went to college. It was like in 2015 or 2016, and I was looking for something to do that would be good because I was kind of frustrated with politics in America in general and in Massachusetts as well. And I discovered Voter Choice Massachusetts through their outreach. And I went to this meeting. So I was just doing my day job at that point. I went to this meeting in Worcester, which was held by Howie Fain. And it was kind of like a launch for the central Massachusetts region of Voter Choice Massachusetts. So I'd figure I'd go there, see if I could get involved. And at the end of the meeting, the Howie, the presenter, he asked us who wanted to be a volunteer lead for the central region. And honestly, it was pretty quiet for about 90 seconds. But then, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, well, no one else wants to do it, and I have been thinking I want to find something to do, and I really like this issue, so I'll put my hand up and I'll do it. So that's my story, and it's kind of related to what we're talking about tonight. So couple things before I get into the agenda. We have a couple resources. I want to add to what's been said tonight about, people have talked about the 9 home rule petitions that are in the State House now. Those 9 home rule petitions have all come since 2020, I believe. Maybe Amherst was a little bit before, but I want to give a shout out to one of our speakers who's coming up, who's going to talk about that. That's Greg Dennis. He's the policy director for VCMA. And Voter Choice Massachusetts has supported the RCV activists who have worked with people in their cities and towns to pass these home rule petitions. And Voter Choice Massachusetts, Ed and Greg are standing by, and their teams and all of us are standing by to help each other as you lead initiatives in your cities and towns. And the thing that makes this fun is how good a job Greg and some of his colleagues have done at really getting a game plan or a playbook for winning these things. So you don't have to figure it out from scratch. Of course, you always got to be agile and innovate and use your local knowledge and relationships, but they're making it easy for you, and they're there to support you. And so I want to pop in. No one's expecting you to read this right now or anything, or it's a lot there. But if you're interested in what the secret sauce is and all its detail, that folder and the link there is what Greg and VCMA put together to help us win in cities and towns. And as far as from an overall movement standpoint, there's this other document which ties into Greg's document and goes a little broader. Also, way more than you probably want to read, but we're going to be open source here. We're going to be transparent, and we want your feedback on this stuff too. So I'm going to put another link in the chat. Again, no pressure on that one. So I'm going to introduce Greg in a minute. And then after we hear from Greg, you're going to hear from John Griffin and Emma Chinman from Partners in Democracy. So we're really thrilled. Partners in Democracy is come on the scene here. I think did you just celebrate your 4th anniversary, John?
Somehow, yeah.
4th anniversary of Partners in Democracy, founded by Danielle Allen. She's got a great team. I think a lot of people on this call are already very engaged with Partners in Democracy and the great work that they've done to host democracy conversations with leaders like yourselves and people in new people who hadn't been involved before across the state. John's going to talk about, one thing we're really excited about at VCMA is that Partners is equally committed to ranked choice voting, and they have stepped up with their C4 and raised their hand to lead legislative efforts to get the legislature to pass these home rule petitions, to pass a local option bill. So that's all you're going to hear from me. I'm going to hand it over to Greg, and when he's done, John and Emma are going to get right into it. So Greg, take us away.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, as many of you know, the most common argument against ranked choice voting is that it's too confusing. Now, that argument is a complete myth. As we know from experience, that myth is dispelled as soon as people get to use it. Once people use RCV, they see it's simple, and the more they use it, the more they like it, and the more they want to keep and expand it. Before Maine had ranked choice voting statewide in 2016, they had ranked choice voting for city elections in Portland for 5 years prior to that. And Portland represents about 5% of Maine's population. Significant percentage of the population was exposed to ranked choice voting before they were ready for it statewide. So these local municipal implementations are key to unlocking RCV statewide, and in addition, improves elections at the local level, where some city and town elections aren't as fair or as competitive as they could be. And as Ed and Nathan spoke to, this city by city, town by town approach has been our primary strategy since 2020. And the way we make it happen is by this thing that you've heard a few times already called a home rule petition. Technical term, but what it means is it's a request from the city or town to the state asking for authorization to do something, in this case, authorization to use ranked choice voting in their city or town elections. Last legislative session, we put 8 home rule petitions before the state legislature. So far, they haven't acted. Not surprising, they don't get to a whole lot. They don't get a whole lot done generally. But what we're doing here is building up enough home rule petitions that it becomes impossible or very difficult for them to ignore us any longer. In this session, we'd like to win about a dozen or so home rule petitions, including Boston is the big one, and that's going to make it very difficult for them to ignore us. We've done this in a number of cities and towns. We have a playbook. We have this starter kit that Nathan linked to. That's the start of the resources we have. We've done this in many places. We know how to get it done. We've seen just about every situation to navigate through. We do encounter some new ones from time to time, but we have a lot of experience at doing this and can help you win. It's not as maybe scary as it seems at the outset. That's what I have to say about it. We're here to help you and make you successful in your city and town. Celia? Or John, let's hand it off to John now.
Sure. Thanks so much, Greg. And thanks, Nathan, for the introduction earlier as well. Like Nathan said, I'm John Griffin with Partners in Democracy. I also have my colleague, Emma Chinman here. Emma, if you can raise your virtual hand so folks can see you as well. Emma does a lot of our legislative advocacy work alongside me and our crack team at Partners in Democracy and the crack team at VCMA. I think it was Tanisha earlier who said we have to ultimately bring the fight to the State House, and that is my job here. My job is to work with you all to bring that fight with as many numbers as we can. Because as we know, the State House sometimes is not the most responsive entity in the world. Our mission at Partners in Democracy is to build a political culture here that is representative, is responsive, does give everyone the representation that they deserve. We know that ranked choice voting is necessary to make that happen. And we know that if we bring the fight to the State House with this group here, this amazing group of 90 people, by the way, that we can force the State House to be responsive. They might not want to, they might not all want to, some of them do. And we know that what really is the key is increasing the number of constituents that they see in their offices, that they see calling, that they see writing letters, the number of towns that they see asking to be allowed the right to run their elections the way that they want to. That's the way that we make this happen. Like Nathan said, in the past, there have been up to 90, 100 state representatives and state senators who have endorsed RCV. In the past session, there were 30 people who signed on to the bill that would just allow all cities and towns to do it. We're going to get back up there. We're working with our legislative partners to get back up there. We're going to get beyond there. And what we need to make that happen is to have as many towns as possible calling for the right to run their elections the way that they know that they need to be truly representative, to be truly responsive to the voice of the people. And we have great local leaders here that are going to make that happen, that are already making that happen. We know that Boston is coming because of the efforts of Ed and Councilor Mejia, Councilor Santana, Councilor Louis-Jean, people like Cheryl, and people like Tanisha, and people like Rahsaan. If we get Boston, that's 6 state senators and 16 state representatives. We've made a huge amount of progress in making sure that in the cities and towns that have home rule petitions, those state senators and state reps, they sign on because they see that this is what the people need and what the people want. So as we go forward, Partners in Democracy is going to work with you to make sure that when those home rule petitions get passed at the local level, we are meeting with our state senators, meeting with our state representatives, rallying at the State House and showing them that we are not a movement that is going to be told no and told that we're going to go sit in the shadows because they're sending us to study. We are going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen with you, with these excellent local leaders that have been active for so many years in Massachusetts. And with these almost 90 people here on the call, I'm incredibly optimistic, and I have all hope in the world that we can make this happen, because this is the way we like to say in Partners in Democracy. This is a multiracial, cross-ideological coalition that believes in the power of democracy. And that's what we need to make change here in Massachusetts. So I'm honored to be here along these star leaders across the entire state. And we want to be as helpful to you as we can to make sure that we make our voice heard. You all make your voices heard. So I'm going to put in the chat a couple things that we're going to do right now. Because like I said, we need to make our voices heard by calling our state representatives and state senators. Partners in Democracy is running an advocacy training this spring that we're going to teach people how they can make their voice really loud with legislators. We're also running a candidate training so that people can actually run for office in their districts and be proponents of ranked choice voting and of democracy renovation by being candidates, being courageous. We are going to put the resources there to make that as easy for you as we can. So those are going to be in the chat. I am here. I will put my email too to be as helpful as I can be, and I'm going to pass it back.
Thank you, John. You all have been excellent listeners. We're all now going to be able to roll up our sleeves, make this happen. We're going to break out into separate Zoom rooms by region. Some of the leaders of those groups you've met already. There are a couple we haven't heard from, so I would love to hear from Vanessa Snow, who's Executive Director of Mass Alliance, and also Marisol Santiago, Director of Policy and Organizing at MassVOTE, are here to help us out with our breakout rooms. Vanessa, would you like to say a few words? Because we're not all going to be lucky enough to be in your breakout room.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa Snow. I'm the Executive Director of Mass Alliance. We are a coalition of 28 unions and advocacy groups that try to coordinate endorsements specifically for state legislature. And it's because we want to change the conditions in which our advocacy can be more successful. And so as someone who has to facilitate an endorsement process with several different organizations. I think about how much more uniting it would be if we were supporting a ranking process. And I'm sure some of you can share this envy with me, but looking at New York City and their mayoral race coming up, and I've been following different organizations and local leaders sharing how they're ranking their favorite candidates, and it gives me some hope. Because I think, it leads to more authentic and transparent conversations with these elected officials, less negative campaigning, and also, knowing that, at the end of the day, we can all sit at the same table together, and be able to respect everybody's choices. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to having a conversation with some of you in the Metro Boston breakout group.
Thank you, Vanessa and Marisol. We're thrilled you're here with us too. Can you give us some of your perspective?
Yes, greetings everyone. It's great to be in shared space again. Some of you were fortunate to be in this collective work in multiple times of our day. So thank you all. I'm not sort of going to repeat what's already been stated. We're all here for the same reasons. We believe that democracy is important to protect every opportunity that we have. And I'm thinking about Rahsaan's words as well. How many of us have been in this fight for quite some time, and we see the wins that we obtain, and then we see those wins, right? And even Celia, our sister from the League of Women Voters, right? Like trying to preserve what's good about democracy and things that are being ripped from our hands. And so it's really important, I think, from the perspective of organizing, right, that we continue to build out pipeline of leadership. And that is number one, the importance of like why we're all here tonight. And as you heard from Nathan as well, right, just how Nathan got involved, and grateful to Nathan and his leadership in this space. So I think we have to really, I always say, like, how do we think of ourselves and multiply ourselves by 5, by 10? And how do we start to really strengthen and build our capacity across the state, across the country, and strengthen our ecologies right here at home. So MassVOTE really believes about educating, participating, and activating. And with the proper tools in place, we can really activate our communities to take leadership, to advocate, and to really contact their legislators, those that need a conversation, thank the ones that are taking leadership, and also, make the phone calls and show up to the council hearings to really push these formal petitions. So we believe that we have the tools that we need, right? And MassVOTE also is like uniquely thinking about a program, our Young Civic Leaders, which is working with young people, particularly high school students and college students, and creating some coordinated events this year. We're really trying to put the power back into the hands of young people as well, and making sure that they're part of the process. We'll be sharing invitations as those things sort of come down the line. I'll make sure that Ed and Nathan, if they could share with this community. So we're always thinking about intergenerational spaces and how we're bringing energy and other voices that want to be a part of driving this. So MassVOTE and the Voter Table are statewide co-coordinators of the democracy hubs. That's about roughly 36 nonprofit civic engagement organizations across the state. And we have this model where it's very much anchor organizations, about 7 regions across the state, and different types of capacity organizations within that region that take on and sort of commit to different amount of goals or voter contacts in their neighborhoods. So I sort of envision this like similar, like springing out into our regions and thinking about how we're really anchoring and sharing and educating other people that want to hear about ranked choice. And that could be equally excited as us, right? If we just give them the stuff they need and make space to listen and make space to listen so that we can really organize locally. So I'm looking forward to that. I think there's enough wisdom in this room to say we've all probably been part of an exciting campaign or 2 or more, where when we really cross that finish line, it's incredible what we put in place for the folks that are going to carry that torch forward. So I'm just really here and excited to continue to build the leadership that we need and do that in partnership with every single one of you. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Marisol. When you talked about organizing locally, that is where it builds from. That's what we're going to start doing right now, using a little Zoom magic. So we're going to go into some separate breakout regional rooms. Thank you for doing that. And definitely we'll keep the conversation going. I would love to know, since I was in the main room with some fine folks, what happened in your breakouts. So can I hear from someone from the Boston Metro room that Ed and Emma were in?
Robin, take it away.
Thank you so much. Robin Tarosi in West Newton, where I was suddenly voluntasking myself, I guess Nathan Lockwood spirit style, that I'll try and be regional facilitator for the next meeting on RCV, because we successfully lobbied when there was a housing development going up, and there was a lot of NIMBY resistance to that. We lobbied to get affordable housing to be up from 25% to 50% low-income housing in that, and it came down to very specific actions, like city council members asking, what's the language that needs to be in the actual bill? And so we supplied it because I had a bright neighbor. So that's Boston.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for stepping up. Can't wait to hear your next steps. How about the Metro West room? Greg, John, who wants to report back on that?
So we heard about some great organizations happening already in many of the towns there. We had a bunch of folks who were in Concord and Bedford and Acton. So folks that are already regional leaders in their organizing and talking about strategizing on what to do with the state reps who have already been allies and now need something else to do in the movement.
Awesome. What about the central room?
That'll be me, Jim Vanderpool. I'll be the point person, I guess, and we've got just a few people that are in the central, but I'll be looking to get information from them so that I can get this going again.
Fantastic. Southeast, I'm going to be meeting with you. So, so what's our next steps? That was Vanessa's room.
Yeah, we actually didn't get to the figuring out who will be the coordinator, as we were kind of having some larger questions around the strategy of home rule petition versus ballot question. But Celia from League of Women Voters messaged me in the and said that she would be happy to do it for the Southeast.
Incredible. Can't get a better lead than that. All right, in the West, Bobby, what did your group get down to?
We got Andy Anderson to present.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy, for stepping up. All
Thanks.
right. How about
the West is a big place and not empty. We were kind of from all over the place, all the way from Berkshire County over to almost to Worcester County, and we are talked a bit about what our strengths were, a lot of organizers in our area, data processing people, and we talked a little bit about the municipalities, how they voted in the for the 2020 ballot initiative. I put a link for that in the chat where you can go and find out how your municipality did, and if it was supportive, then it could be supportive locally as well, and as a starting point for getting it passed. And we had a couple questions about why ballot initiative versus trying to get legislation passed, and why we are delaying a ballot initiative for 2026, as it appears we are.
Well, Andy, I had said thank you for stepping up, but actually, Andy has been stepping up for many years. So thank you for continuing to do so. And that's a really wonderful thing that I'm seeing here too, is that we have folks who have been in this for years, who've made a lot of progress, and some people may be coming on new. So we'll get wonderful mentorships happening as we get together in these groups. So I'm very excited about that. We will also be sending an email to you all with lots of links and make sure that everyone can connect and connect you with your other supporters in the area. And I think we did an amazing job in just over an hour with all these folks. We've got a lot happening, a lot that's going to happen. And Nathan, do you want to wrap it all up and a tidy little bow for us?
Yeah, I'm going to say a couple things, then turn it over to Ed to close us out here. I just want to say that it's just really inspiring to see everyone out here tonight. The new folks, the folks that worked hard on this, since 2016, and some folks probably even working on it before that. So great to see everyone. About the ballots thing, is Ed talked about, and I'll share this with you. Like, there's been, long story short, there has been polling recently. Partners in Democracies has another partner organization that's looking at ballot questions, and they did some very valuable polling on election reform and in Massachusetts. And long story short, I think their findings align very well with the theory of change that Greg Dennis kind of came up with and shared with us a few years ago, which is the road to statewide implementation, whether it's by getting a majority through a ballot question or whether it's getting the legislature to pass it. We've done a great job in building communities of folks that strongly believe in this, and you guys are the cream of the crop of those that are here tonight. However, the state is vast. There are a lot of people, and we can just never underestimate the effort it takes to reach everyone and reach a large majority of the folks in Massachusetts. So I think Greg's done a good job of highlighting for us why getting people to be able to see it in a city or town near them, see it working well, is really the most durable way to grow those numbers so that you can win that ballot measure or influence those legislators. And with that, I just want to turn it over to Ed, who I'm very thankful for leading VCMA the last couple of years and all the amazing work in Boston. And Ed, close us out, man.
All right. This is a great call. Thank you all for showing up tonight. This is how we build power, right? We got the strategy, we've got the momentum, and all we need really is just each other, right? Showing up, organizing, following through. This campaign is bigger than one city or one policy. It's about building democracy that works for the entire Commonwealth. So here's what's next. Get plugged into the local campaign, bring a friend, help push this from idea to reality, one town, one conversation, and one vote at a time. Because we all know that when Massachusetts leads, the country pays attention, and when you lead, change follows. So let's stay loud, let's stay connected, and let's go make history together. Peace out, everybody.